Hey guys, this is God of Politics. I'm going to a brand new video, but before we get started with this video, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. Also, follow me on Twitter and join the Discord. Those are both linked down in the description. Help me get to 1,000 subscribers. We're just over 30 subscribers away. I'm hoping that we can reach it sometime very, very soon. But in today's video, I'm going to be doing an analysis of each state and seeing how I think that they're going to trend in the next 15 years. Now, this is going to be comparing it to the 2020 election. So effectively 2035. Now, of course, there's not an election in 2035. There's an election in 2036. But, we're basing it on, what's effectively what the state is going to look like in the future. Is it going to become more Republican or is it going to become less Republican and trend Democrat? Now, you may disagree with a lot of these, and it's very hard to tell with a lot of these. Is the GOP going to go down a path that appeals more to rural voters with a path like Trumpism, or are they going to appeal more to suburban voters with a path, similar to Mitt Romney, that kind of Republican Party? But we can get some of an idea of what these things are going to look like with population growth, demographic changes, other factors like that. So I guess we can just start off in the Northeast here, I'm just not going to do leans or likelies or anything, just seeing whether the state will trend Democrat or trend Republican. Now, the Northeast is very difficult to tell because the rural areas of the Northeast have historically been, very Democrat. You've got, historically, going very far back, you had a lot of Irish immigrants coming here. You had a lot of Catholics, which are still to this day the most liberal group of Christian voters, and that has produced the rural areas of the Northeast being a lot less Republican than the rest of the country. Now, will they trend Republican in the future? Well, they have trended Republican already. They've trended Republican in Maine, in New Hampshire, in, Connecticut, and so I think that we will see that trend continue at least to an extent. So I think that states like Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, Connecticut, Rhode Island probably will all trend Republican. I don't see them becoming competitive or becoming Republican states, with the exception of New Hampshire and maybe Maine, but I do think that they will trend slightly Republican. However, I think that Massachusetts will trend towards the Democrats just because of the influence of a city like Boston, which is, by far the largest city in New England. You'd have to go to New York, which isn't even in New England, to find a city larger than that, but Boston is a very large city, and, the suburbs of Boston are making the state trend Democrat. Biden won it by the most, of any candidate in decades, probably since Lyndon B. Johnson, to be honest. But, he did win it by a lot, and I think that trend will continue. New York is also very hard to tell, but I am leaning towards saying that it's going to trend Republican. I think that Republicans can make some gains in the New York City area, and they can make gains in these rural areas, which, you can see aren't that Republican, with the exception of, Wyoming County, Hamilton County, Schuyler County is one of these counties over here. One of these counties, and I do think that they can make gains in the New York City area. It's not going to become competitive. New York's not going to go Republican anytime soon, but I do think that it will trend slightly Republican. However, I do think New Jersey will trend Democratic. You look at the state of New Jersey, it's effectively, all suburbs. There's not many rural areas of New Jersey. You're very close to, the Maryland, Baltimore area this way. You're very close to Philadelphia. You're very close to New York. You're very close to a lot of cities, and you have a lot of suburbs that have shifted towards the Democratic Party in recent years. Effectively, every county in New Jersey trended Democratic except for Hudson County, Essex County, and Passaic County. And so, those were counties with higher minority populations, particularly Latino areas, that trended towards Donald Trump. Even if that trend continues on, I think it'll be offset by white voters, white college-educated voters, who will trend further towards the Democratic Party, trending the state of New Jersey towards the Democratic Party. Now, Delaware, I think, will trend Republican, in part because, we're comparing it to the 2020 result, which is with Joe Biden, and it was the state that trended, I think, the second most towards Joe Biden. The first was Vermont because of a lot of protest votes in 2016, but Delaware did trend a lot towards Joe Biden. He won it by 19 percentage points here, and I think that in the future it probably will trend slightly Republican, but again, not going to be competitive in the future. Maryland, I think, will trend Democrat. I mean, you look at the influence of college-educated white voters and what they did to the state in this election. They made every single county except for one county, which is Somerset County, a rural county, trend towards the Democrats in this election. I can't see that trend really stopping. I think those counties are going to keep trending towards the Democrats. Now, going down to the next state, which is Virginia, I think most people would be in agreement on this. Even if Republicans can continue to gain in, Southwest Virginia, much less people live there than do the rest of the state over here. There's about one congressional district covering this entire Western Virginia, can't say West Virginia, but Western Virginia area. And then you've got, the whole Nova area that's trending towards the Democratic Party. That's also the area gaining in population very rapidly. I mean, you can look back in 2000, George Bush won Fairfax County, and, Biden almost cracked 70% in that county, which is pretty remarkable. Going into the Rust Belt, I guess we can go next now. I think first, West Virginia is on the Rust Belt, but I think West Virginia will trend Democrat. And, it's not going to be a blue state, not even going to be anywhere close. It'll be a Republican plus 35, Republican plus 40 state. Trump, as I mentioned before, by saying Trump is making the state trend Republican, and it trended Republican even before that. It was stagnant from 2004 to 2008. It trended very Republican from 2008 to 2012, 2012 to 2016. But 2016 and 2020 was very stagnant. This was the first year that it didn't trend Republican since, I think, 1988, when Michael Dukakis actually won the state. So, I do think that Democrats will make slight gains in, the D.C. suburban area, which is kind of bleeding into West Virginia, and I think the rural areas are pretty maxed out for Republicans. And so I don't think the Republicans, are going to lose the state, lose anything, lose any of their grip on the state, but it will trend slightly Democrat. Now, effectively, the whole Rust Belt, I'm just going to put as Republican over here. The whole, almost all of the Midwest is going to trend towards the Republicans. Part of it is because I do think that Black and Latino voters will trend slightly Republican. Another thing is that rural areas are not actually the Republican in these states. The third thing is that these states are losing population, and you have a lot of older voters here. You have a lot of non-college educated voters here. Those are the demographics shifting towards Donald Trump. And I think, you can make an argument that Minnesota or Illinois won't trend towards the Republicans because of the fact that you have a lot of suburbs in these areas that are trending Democrat. But I think that, looking into the future 16 years, I guess, thinking about the 2036 election, it's not going to, I don't think these states are going to be as blue as they are now. And, states like Iowa, Indiana, Ohio, maybe Indiana could trend blue because of the influence of Indianapolis. Actually, I would consider changing it to a blue trending state because of the Indianapolis area. But I think the Republicans can keep gaining in some of these rural areas as well, especially white working class areas like Lake County, Porter County, LaPorte County, maybe even a little bit in St. Joseph County. But I do think, overall these states are going to trend Republican. Now, Kentucky and Missouri are tough ones. I think Missouri will trend at Democrat because of the rural areas being pretty maxed out and the suburban areas shifting towards the Democrats. Kentucky is also hard to tell. I think it'll probably trend Republican because I think that they can limit the damage in some of these suburban areas because of the fact that the cities aren't necessarily as large, and they can gain in some rural areas as well, but overall going to remain a pretty stagnant state. North Carolina also going to trend a little bit blue. I think the Research Triangle is just going to be too much for the rural areas it's going to reach a point. South Carolina, similar thing. The growth of the cities here, which are pretty Republican, all things considered, are going to start trending towards the Democrats. Greenville, Rock Hill, Columbia, I think those will keep trending towards the Democrats. Georgia, of course, is going to trend towards the Democrats. Florida, I think, will trend towards the Republicans. I think the South is going to be pretty difficult to tell. I think Tennessee will trend towards the Republicans. Arkansas will trend towards the Republicans. Louisiana will trend towards the Republicans. But I could see Mississippi and Alabama trending towards the Democrats. I think the diversification of the state and the fact that Republicans are pretty maxed out with white working class voters here means they could trend slightly Democratic overall, but not going to be much movement in the South, with the exception of Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, and Florida, which will trend a little bit Republican, I think. And the next state is going to be Texas, which I think is going to trend towards the Democrats. Oklahoma probably going to trend towards the Republicans. Kansas going to trend towards the Democrats. Same thing with Nebraska. Rural areas are pretty maxed out here for Republicans, or Republicans are only losing in suburban areas. North Dakota, South Dakota, I could see these trending either way. I think I'm going to put them at Republican. I think or at Democrat. I think they will trend Democrat just because, again, the rural areas are pretty maxed out here, whereas Democrats can make gains in some areas like Sioux Falls, Watertown, Rapid City, and Fargo over here, Bismarck, even a little bit as well. Montana, I think, will trend a little bit Democrat because of these cities having more population, or I guess cities, whatever you want to call it. Wyoming probably trends Republican, to be honest. I can't see much movement in this state. Idaho probably trends Democrat as you have a decline in Mormons in the state, meaning that there will be, less Democrats or less Republicans because there's less Mormons, but it's not going to be as rapid of a shift as there will be in Utah. If you look at a graph of Utah, the Mormon population is kind of stagnating versus the non-Mormon population, which is growing, people moving in from out of state. The children of Mormons not being as Mormon, and that is causing a blue shift, I think, in the state of Utah. Colorado, New Mexico, Arizona, I think will also trend blue as well, with the influence of Latino voters and suburban voters making the state trend blue. Hawaii, I think Republicans can make gains with some of the Hawaiian native people, and I think that it will help the Republican Party shift the state a little bit red, but not going to be much movement. Alaska, I think, will trend blue. You know, you look at the Anchorage area, which isn't actually that blue, and I think Democrats do have a lot of room to gain in the Alaska area. I don't think it'll be competitive, but I think that they can make gains. California, Nevada, Oregon, Washington, I think they're also all going to trend towards the Democrats. I think, you know, the influence of Latino voters, the influence of suburban voters is going to help the Democratic Party overall. I know a little, rushed a little bit at the end, but if you do have any questions, you can ask me down in the comments. But overall, I see 27 states trending towards the Democratic Party, 23 states trending towards the Republican Party. You know, some of these are very, very, very iffy, as I said. But, let me know what you think down below. But this is what I see the map being. I think, politics evens itself out. No party can have control for too long before it shifts back to the other party. So even if we're saying demographic shifts, Latino voters, all of that, Republicans will continue to win in the future, just like Democrats will continue to win in the future. And, we will see what happens. So thank you all for watching this video. Please like this video and subscribe to the channel. Also, follow me on Twitter and join the Discord. Those are both linked down in the description. But again, guys, thank you all for watching this video, and I will see you guys later.